Hey there YouTube, this is the Mr. Roboto back with another video. Today we are going to do a how-to on creating an operator-controlled discharge chute for your zero-turn or riding lawnmower. Alright YouTube friends, this is my new, to me, Exmark Laser Z X Series lawnmower. I just recently purchased it with 1,000 hours on it, 60-inch deck. It's got the CV740 Kohler engine on it. As you can see, it's got right over 1,000 hours on it. Best part of this mower, it was cheap. I picked it up for $1,800. Yeah, great deal. But it was missing one important piece of kit when I purchased it. It needed a block-off chute. And I looked online and I found some for between $200 and $300. And that seemed a little steep to me to just purchase. I thought I could make something just as robust for a little bit cheaper than that. So this was my attempt. As you can see here, we're using the existing mounts for the old chute, a rod with washers and cotter pins, some coil springs, some extension springs that I uncoiled to turn into torsional springs, some brackets that I cut down to fit, an eighth inch thick sheet of steel, an eye bolt, some paracord, and a J-hook. So, for operation, the chute is down in this position. If I pull on the paracord, I tied an eye knot, or an eye loop knot. Hook it on that J-hook. Now the chute is in its up position. Very simple. No levers, no cables, no pulleys. None of that stuff that normally goes wrong. You might say paracord, not as tough as a cable. True. But if it breaks, you just tie a new piece of paracord. It's simple. And the best thing is, if you want multiple positions on the position of your chute, you just tie new loops in the paracord. Very simple. Alright, so I'm going to disassemble this system now and reassemble it and go over some more details on the measurements and how I built this. Alright guys, here is the major subassemblies all taken apart. As you can see here, we started with a piece of paracord, cut to whatever length works best for your application, a 5/16 eye bolt with one lock washer here, one nut here, two flat washers here, and one nut on the back. The reason I did the extra flat washers was to help distribute the load more evenly, as it will be pulling on the middle of this plate, and from over and over lifting and lowering, with all that moment force, that torque being applied, it's just better to distribute that load. The next piece you'll see here is a 3/8 inch diameter pin that mates up with the existing mounting holes on the deck. As you can see, that pin I have cut to right about 13.5 inches. A little bit over, but this doesn't need to be precision. So, if we measure from the end, we have a hole drilled for a cotter pin at about 1/2 inch, 5¼ inches, 10¼ inches, and 13¼ inches. We have our 4 cotter pins for those 4 holes, 4 flat washers, and 2 springs. Now, the springs started out like this, as extension springs. I couldn't find the exact type of torsional spring that I wanted, so I simply cut the ends off, unwrapped the spring, and it works perfect. I decided to go with 2 of these to evenly distribute the load on the blade. As you can see, the coil itself is 2 inches long. Coil diameter, 3/4 inch. Inside diameter on the coil is right about 1/2 inch. On the plate, I got a 1/8 inch steel plate that I went to a local shop and had them shear it for me to the exact size that I needed. As you can see here, it is 19 inches wide by 6 3/4 high. In these locations here. Now you see that there is a notch that I cut out here and here. The overall plate dimension was 8 1/4. So the cutouts that I made, I just used a cutoff wheel on my angle grinder. Those are to allow clearance for these tabs here. So again, these were 1.5 inches by 5 1/4 inches. On that side, same height dimension. The length dimension here was 4 1/4. So, to assemble this system, I wanted a design that didn't use any welding. It's all drilling and bolting. Some of you don't have welders. I do, but I wanted a simple design that I didn't have to mess with getting some custom work done. The brackets that I used here were originally 4 holes by 4 holes up this way. I trimmed the bracket down this direction and this direction. The bracket here has a bolt hole span of every 2 inches. The initial bolt hole on the bracket is 1 inch. The bracket itself is 1 inch and 1/8 wide. These brackets came from Tractor Supply. You can get these kind of brackets just about anywhere. It's just galvanized steel. So we hang the bracket up on the mower like so. Take our 3/8 inch shaft. Now the hole positions on these are directional, so beware of that. Alright, once you get your pin inserted, these two washers here are designed to hold the springs in place. Cotter pin here. Cotter pin here. Alright, so that assembly is complete now. Pretty simple. Now, if you notice, the springs in the back, they don't have a ton of travel on them. And you don't need a lot. You don't need a ton of tension on this, because it has the gravity to help it. But I would suggest bending your tabs over on your springs. So, when this is complete, the assembly should be able to tip back. And when it's all the way tipped back, it should have enough tension to spring itself back down in place. Next, we'll attach the eyelet for the cable. So now, we start by putting the lock washer and the flat washer in the nut on the eyelet and insert it into the hole in the plate. Let me give you some dimensions on where that hole is at. From the hole, center of the hole to the edge of the plate, 10 inches. From the top of the plate, the center of the hole is 4 inches. Position of this isn't really essential to be perfect, but we'll place this in here, and we'll reach around the back side with another flat washer and a nut. We'll screw it on. Go ahead and tighten that up. Then we have our paracord. Tied a little eye knot on the end and one in the middle. You'll need to play around with the length of this paracord for your mower, but on this X series, this length happens to work perfect for me. And I will say that since this is attaching to the deck and then also attaching to the frame, the height of this flap will change a little bit when you adjust your deck height. So keep that in mind as well on the length of your paracord. Okay, so this end is intentionally smaller, and it's meant to lift up and stay on the end of this hook. This hook is a 3/8 inch diameter, has a nut with a lock washer on the back side, and I simply just drilled one of these standard holes out a little bit bigger. Now the paracord pulls up and hooks on itself, and voila, you have a flap. So here's the view from the driver's seat. We just have this little eye loop here. Pull up on this and hook it. Now your chute's unblocked. Simply take it, pull it, let it down, and you're ready to go. So pretty simple. If you guys are interested in a bill of material of all the components that I used in detail, let me know. Put a comment down in the description. And please like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.